Ladies and gentlemen, Fourth and Trollers, welcome back to another episode of Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. And it's not just another episode, it is our 30th episode here at Fourth and Troll Fantasy. We hope we can celebrate that with you guys today. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And as I just stated, 30 episodes. Wes, crazy.
That's pretty cool, man.
It's pretty cool. We're 30 episodes into this. On our 30th episode, we get to celebrate 3 straight days of football this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. 3 times 10 is 30. That's for all you math scholars out there.
Them's the math,
and that's
baby.
the connection and the segue. Boom. See, it's just easy. Anyone can do this stuff, right?
Well, I mean, we're the most entertaining, but I think a lot of people can do this, yeah.
I meant math.
Oh, math? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep, math is easy.
Yeah, easy.
Math
easy
is a
stuff,
blast.
You know? Math is, a wise man once had a song that math is a really cool thing. Shout out to Jack Black. There you go.
There it is.
Bingo, bango, bongo. As I said, it's going to be a great episode today. We've got a bunch of stuff to look forward to. Things are going swimmingly out here in Phoenix, Arizona. Wes, how are things out in Los Angeles?
It is still just as cold as when you left a few days ago.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, it definitely feels like it's Christmas time. Very excited. I'll be flying to my parents shortly, and you're in the same. I mean, you know, they live in Phoenix as well, so I'll be seeing you not too long. Again, I feel like
don't make them all jealous, Wes.
Yeah, I keep bumping into you for the holidays this year. I'm very happy about it. But hey, so first round of playoffs started. Let's get into that. First round of playoffs. I had nobody playing in our league, Noah.
Yeah.
And then in another league that we're in together, I didn't have anybody, but they had the 49ers defense, did pretty well. Thankfully, that pick 6 was called back for a very questionable, in my opinion, a questionable roughing the passer. But then in the league, I got in by 1 point. If you remember me mentioning that last episode, I went up against Christian McCaffrey. So that's probably down the pipe already. How are you doing, Noah? Christmas is upon us. First week of playoffs for fantasy. How's everything?
Yeah, I'm good. I had my first hot cocoa of the season the other day.
Oh, that's yummy.
That was nice. It was delicious. Got to go see some Christmas lights with my wife, which is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. It's one of my favorite things about the season is Christmas lights. And so getting to go see some Christmas lights was quite the time and enjoyable. Got to enjoy some hot cocoa with that. So that was a fun time. Listen, I'm in the playoffs in one league, and everyone makes it in that league. But, hey, it's a whole new season when playoffs start. And I am the worst team in that league, and I'm hoping to have a Cinderella story. So, you know what? Taking on the 1 seed, I am the 8 seed, and started out good. I had the 49ers defense, so there we go. I got some good points on the board to start out the week on Thursday night. Gonna be sweaty. Gonna be a sweaty one, but it's going to be a good time. We do have a great show for you guys today. Going to get you ready for the rest of round 1 of the playoffs, starting out with the Thursday Night Football recap in Seattle. Those 49ers clinching the NFC West on Thursday night. Then we're going to jump into some studs and duds, give you all the information you need to know here, though, is we're going to do the Fourth and Troll news. The new. Do we have a jingle for this, Wes?
No, but I would love for one of our fans to try to write a rhyme for the news jingle, and we'll make it happen next episode.
Yeah, perfect.
How does that sound?
Sounds good.
That's our Christmas gift to you.
Great. That sounds great. For now, we'll just jump into the news then. So we'll be looking out for those rhymes.
Yeah, that'll be Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok anywhere that you like the most. All right, so let's get into the news here. So last night, apparently, Tyler Lockett broke a bone in his hand. For the time of our recording this episode, it's too early to know exactly how long he'll miss, but it's fair to assume that he's probably going to miss next week, making obviously DK Metcalf a high priority in the passing game. Be on the lookout for the rest of the news and your injury reports, player updates on your fantasy apps to see if there's any new information on Tyler Lockett's broken bone in his hand. Okay, so hey, our bad on this one. Somehow we just missed that apparently Dameon Pierce reportedly suffered a mild high ankle sprain and could miss 1 to 3 weeks. We should have mentioned that last episode in live when Noah and I were together, but we just missed that one. So we're letting you know now. He didn't practice on Wednesday, so naturally, if he's going to miss 1 to 3 weeks, he didn't practice. So he'll most likely miss this week, and then we'll have to keep tabs on his practice week after that. So that's Dameon Pierce. Okay, Tuesday, the Cardinals confirmed that Kyler Murray does in fact have a torn ACL and is obviously out for the rest of the season. Colt McCoy will continue to start. And the interesting thing is that some actually believe this benefits their offense even more. So if you have Marquise Brown or DeAndre Hopkins or even James Conner, don't be too worried. It sounds like this is probably going to be an interesting, a surprising benefit rather. All right. In Houston, speaking of Dameon Pierce earlier, the Texans offensive coordinator, Titus Howard, has decided to start both quarterbacks, Davis Mills and Jeff Driscoll. I don't know if any of you watched that very high drama game between the Cowboys and the Texans on Sunday, but they played both Davis Mills and Jeff Driscoll, and they nearly beat the Cowboys. So they're just like, yep, we're going to keep doing that. So in case any of you have been maverick enough to start Davis Mills, don't. But, seeing how some of the receivers did, who knows? I don't know. It's a playoffs. I don't know if anyone made playoffs with a Texans wide receiver. All right. In case any of you were worried about Jerry Jeudy's temper tantrum, if any of you caught that viral clip, maybe on Twitter, of him mouthing off an official, he kind of was jawing him out, bumped into him a little bit. He will just be fined. He won't be suspended. So Jeudy will be in line to play next week following a 3-touchdown performance. All right, the Dolphins did not practice Tuesday, but they believe Jeff Wilson Jr. wouldn't have practiced with his hip injury anyway. We're not even really sure if he's worth starting regardless of his health with how their offense has flopped the past 2 weeks, but I'll just jump into how the rest of that team is done. Both here, we're going to do a tie-in to the AFC running backs here. Both Ramondre Stevenson and Jeff Wilson Jr. didn't practice. As far as their backfield mates' statuses go, Damian Harris was a limited participant after missing 2 weeks, and Raheem Mostert has no designated injury, leaving the backfield all to themselves if they're both going to play. And of course, if Stevenson and Jeff Wilson miss their games for their teams. All right. So the Falcons officially placed Marcus Mariota on injured reserve, meaning that regardless of how Noah's crush Desmond Ridder does this week, if they blow out the game or it's just like an Eagles game, they're just on top. Doesn't matter. Desmond Ridder's playing, and he's probably going to finish the rest of the season. So we'll see how this affects, obviously, Cordero Patterson owners and especially Drake London owners for the rest of the season. Okay. Ravens quarterback Tyler Huntley cleared concussion protocol, and since Lamar Jackson has been officially ruled out for this week, Tyler Huntley will be the starter in Baltimore. Last couple here. Saquon Barkley has been dealing with a neck injury and was limited in his role against the Eagles on Sunday. Also, they got annihilated 22-48, so that also limited his role. But Brian Dable said Barkley will be a full go against the Commanders on Sunday Night Football. Speaking of the NFC East, NFC Beast, as some like to say, Dallas Goedert is ready to come back off of IR. He sounds very, very excited to be playing again. He's very much aligned to play this week against Chicago, just as he was anticipating. Dallas Goedert has been one of the better tight ends this season. I have him in 2 leagues. I am starting him. I'm very excited to see his return this week. DJ Moore practiced on Wednesday after an MRI. I'm not sure if DJ Moore is exactly startable anymore, but he's definitely an interesting play now that Sam Darnold has been balling out a little bit the past couple of weeks against the Seahawks last week as well. So this improves DJ Moore's chances to play this week. Last two here, both Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller of the Las Vegas Raiders are designated to return from IR this week. As we mentioned last episode with Waller trying to come back from IR, the Raiders are still technically in the playoff hunt. It's doubtful they make it, but they're going to try. So this does mean that people like Renfrow and Waller may have some fantasy relevance for your last playoff games here. Last one, there's an update for the Steelers team. So we just said how Kenny Pickett was going to go through the concussion protocol. Mitch Trubisky was going to start. Well, here we go again. Did you miss the Steelers quarterback drama? We started out the season talking about the carousel there in Pittsburgh. Here we go. Mason Rudolph is splitting first-team snaps with Trubisky, which means, as of now, there is actually a chance that Mason Rudolph could start in place of Kenny Pickett this week. If you care about either of those quarterbacks, pay attention to see what they decide there in Pittsburgh. Okay, that's it for the news. That was fun. That was wild. It's playoff time, baby. Let's get going. Let's talk about the 49ers and Seahawks, Noah. Kind of a good start of the game, in my opinion, but 49ers are probably the best team not named Philadelphia and probably Bills and Chiefs. They are a Super Bowl team, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say let's talk about playoffs. We're talking about fantasy playoffs. Last night almost felt like a playoff game to an extent. Like how these teams were playing each other, tight game, close game. Got out of hand a little bit. Seattle managed to sort of almost bring it back there. It was, I actually really enjoyed watching this game. I think it's two very good teams. And while Seattle may be getting exposed a little bit, I mean, I'm sure Seattle fans can find a silver lining here with how they got beat by the Panthers and then managed to now, kind of hold their own against this 49ers team that's been really, really good this season. So, Seattle fans, I'm a big believer in Geno Smith. I really like Geno. I'm a big believer that, Pete Carroll should be mentioned in the Coach of the Year conversation. I mean, after what I believe is now a third straight loss, I think that narrative might be fizzling out a little bit for me, but I really enjoyed this game. I thought it was a good game. Obviously, we saw, the names we expected to kind of, lead the way here. Lots of Nick Bosa plays, lots of Christian McCaffrey plays, stuff like that we attempted here, or that not that we attempted, but that we kind of were banking on here. All in all, I thought it was a good game. But let's break down our must starts, risky starts, and don't starts from this game just to kind of review. Wes, your must start, Brandon Ayuk, a little bit of a disappointment here because of what we saw and what we kind of hoped could happen with him being the top wide receiver on this team with Deebo Samuel gone. What are your thoughts here on Ayuk in this offense going forward?
It was definitely a letdown, because it's our Friday show. We don't include much of our Thursday night performers in our hyped up and let down segment. So I will give him a dishonorable mention in my let down segment because I really thought he was going to be a top priority. Of course, there was the potential. We'll jump to some of the other 49ers players here. There was the potential that George Kittle decided to be the, borderline Hall of Fame tight end that he has been known to be. That kind of game could have happened, and it did. He had 2 touchdowns. Both looked really easy. I mean, he is still really great. But there's also, I guess, the game plan for the Niners is that Christian McCaffrey is a bell cow, which he wasn't ever exactly. That wasn't his purpose in Carolina. He was the pass catching running back. He was a receiver, and that was also why he was such an attractive fantasy player. But I guess when you're going to hand the ball off 26 times to Christian McCaffrey, you're only going to have so much opportunities to throw the ball. So I guess with 4 targets, Ayuk did fine in that respect. But as far as fantasy, yeah, that's definitely disappointing, man. I'm upset that just didn't pan out. I mean, they won. They don't care, but not for fantasy. We didn't win because of Brandon Ayuk. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely tough. I was hoping to see a little more here from Ayuk as well.
Excuse me.
Was hoping that it would kind of equal out to, in my mind, I wondered if, the safety net of a great tight end like George Kittle might come into play at some point here for Brock Purdy on this offense. Just because we've seen, guys slot in some of their first games before. We look at Pickett with Pat Freiermuth this year, and Freiermuth has been, hot because Kenny Pickett definitely trusts him as a safety net there. Just continue to see, we can even talk about Evan Ingram last week. There's something reliable about a tight end on an offense when they have a good connection with that quarterback. I wondered if maybe we could see that with Kittle, but it just hadn't been that kind of year for Kittle, and it ended up being one of those games, one of those nights. So, at least Wes, in the league you and I play in, the George Kittle owner is the first seed in the division, so they had a first round bye, so they don't even get the benefit of this. Finally, this George Kittle performance. Yeah, the one week George Kittle booms, they don't even get the benefit of it, which is a bit ironic, but definitely, this 49ers offense seems to be humming one way or another, and that's exciting to me for sure. I'm happy for them, and in a big way. I mean, I like Shanahan. I like, obviously, the coaching tree he's developed because he's given a lot of great coaches to the league. Mike McDaniel, Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, those kind of players and coaches there. So he's kind of just spurted those guys out there, which has been exciting. And so I like the 49ers. I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for them. So definitely great to see them doing well. First, being able to, just win under not intense conditions, but, adverse conditions and situations with losing 2 starting quarterbacks this year. But now, and even being able to lock up the NFC West. So exciting for them for sure. Sad day though, because the touchdown streak for Tyler Lockett did end on Thursday night. Is a disappointment. Still 13.8 fantasy points is still, in there with, some of the scores he's been putting up over this streak of games where he'd been scoring touchdowns. But, yeah, I mean, as we heard, broken bone in his hand. Fantasy team's going to be without him next week, and so at least next week. So people are probably going to have to find a replacement there because he has definitely been a guy who has been lucked into lineups at the wide receiver position. So gonna have to find somebody there. But 13.8 points, not too bad if that's somebody you had in your lineup for sure. Risky starts though. I think we probably kind of nailed this one. I think we both kind of crushed out the perfect risky start. Geno Smith with 15.3 points, Brock Purdy with 16.4 points.
Given their expectations, I think this was spot on.
Yeah, I think they both pretty much did what they were expected to do, which is a great risky start because it could have gone terribly. They met expectations, or they could have just absolutely gone way past them. Man, I was hoping Brock Purdy would, I was hoping Shanahan would, let him get one more score there when Jordan Mason brought him down to the goal line, and maybe Purdy would get one with his legs, maybe potentially, because I lost Kyler. So even though I'm in a loser's bracket, listen here real quick. If you have mid playoffs. Okay, I haven't made. I haven't made playoffs this year, and it's obviously not fun, but still love and enjoy the game. All right, it's fantasy football. It's a fun time. I'm still enjoying it. I submitted my waiver claim for Dirty Purdy, and I picked him up and played him this week in 16.48 fantasy points. You know what? Maybe I'll find my way to a win in the losers bracket. Maybe I won't, but I had a good time watching Brock Purdy play the football game. So that was exciting for me.
And he also really only made one bad mistake. Unfortunately, that Seahawks secondary player, I think it was a safety, just dropped a pick thrown right into the middle of his chest. Otherwise, Brock Purdy has been looking sharp. Like he knows this offense. There's a chemistry that's been building. And dude, that throw to Kittle for Kittle's first touchdown was sweet.
So good.
I mean, he like pumps it to Ayuk, I think, and then he spins around and pumps it to McCaffrey, and then just sails it into the middle of the field. No one is near George Kittle.
The play design on that was crazy. It was so good. Two fakes, and then he's wide open in the middle. So it was great play design, great play call, great throw. Just an awesome play, and it was exciting for sure. So a couple of risky starts there. If you listened, great. If you didn't, you're not missing out on too much. But a picture perfect risky start there for Fourth and Troll this beautiful Friday morning. And then, we are going to jump to our don't starts here, which we crushed out of the park as well. Marquise Goodwin, 3 points. Travis Homer, 5 points. Never been wrong, baby. Never been wrong.
Never been wrong.
Never been wrong. And then just a couple other players here. We already mentioned George Kittle, 25.3 fantasy points, 4 catches, 93 yards, and 2 touchdowns. It's 25.3 on 4 catches. Man, the tight end spot is a mystery. If you're not named Travis Kelce. Yeah, what a wild time. Christian McCaffrey, 25.6 fantasy points, got his owners off to a good fantasy start for the playoffs for sure. 32 touches. Oh boy. I hope they don't run him into an injury, because that would suck. Because I think they have been, both teams that McCaffrey played for this season have been doing a good job of managing his workload. And 32 touches is, I think, the most that I've seen this season for him. The good thing is he looked great. He looked healthy on every single touch. Didn't look like he was slowing up. Didn't look like anything was wrong. So, and obviously we haven't heard anything. So, 25.6 points. Got the owners of Christian McCaffrey off to a good start there. Jordan Mason is back up. Man, would have loved either outcome here. Would have loved to see that guy score a touchdown, his first touchdown in the NFL. Also would have loved to see him just slide it down and take the smart rookie move, landed right in the middle, just got shoved out of bounds. I know he was trying for that touchdown. Would have loved to have gotten it, but
of course he was.
If anything, I think this just can show and prove that, if for some reason something happens to McCaffrey, I think we all know now, have seen that Jordan Mason has got to have, which Wes, you called out whenever Elijah Mitchell went down. We were between Tyrion Davis-Price and Jordan Mason, and based on either some word of mouth or just reports.
Honestly,
just Fourth and Troll landed on Jordan Mason. So
shout out to the local 49ers fans here in the state of California that just clued me in when in preseason. They just telling me it was like, we got this stud running back Jordan Mason, but we don't know if we're going to see him behind Mitchell and Jeff Wilson, and there he is. And they were right. I mean, that was a fantastic run. And so that's all it is, though, for the relevancy of fantasy. If McCaffrey were to go down, Mason looks great. But I will say McCaffrey runs different with the Niners. He ran so aggressively with Carolina. Like, he would intentionally seek contact. I mean, a lot of Carolina Panthers fans will call him the Terminator. But here in San Francisco, it seems like he's just being he's being frugal. He's being diligent
smart
with his body.
Almost,
he's being
maybe
smart.
At some point. Yeah.
He's not trying to, bruise his body by just getting, instead of 3 yards, it's 4 yards. And I get it if you're trying to get a first down, but he's just playing differently with the Niners. It's bad news for the real playoffs going against McCaffrey.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely. I mean, it's a good thing to see, and it makes me happy because you and I both are big Christian McCaffrey believers coming into this season. We said, when healthy, no one's better. When healthy, no one is better. That's on the football field for fantasy football. And I believe that has pretty much reigned true this season. And it's been awesome to see him stay healthy. It's been awesome to see him, get back to just the guy that we love to watch play. A lot of us are just super crushed to see him, 2 seasons in a row, just kind of fall off there due to injury. And so definitely just loving seeing Christian McCaffrey doing well.
Yeah.
Point.
I think, to use your terminology, your phrase, Noah, football is better with Christian McCaffrey.
I agree. Yep. Yeah. Definitely football is better with Christian McCaffrey in it. A couple other guys here. Noah Fant, has been playing like pretty good football over the past 5 weeks. I'm not going to lie to you, man. There have been, I think, like 2 pretty low scoring weeks in there. But besides that, at the tight end position where it's hard to find these guys who can do well, Noah Fant's done I think 13 plus fantasy points in 3 of his last 5 games. And that's awesome to see. He scores another touchdown on Thursday night, 5 catches, 32 yards and a touchdown. It's nothing flashy, nothing crazy, nothing gorgeous or out of this world, but definitely just good to see a good tight end playing football and good for Noah Fant, man. I love Noah Fant in Denver. Thought he was going to a wasteland here in Seattle whenever he was included in that trade. And so good for him just being able to find some success here with the Seattle team, who I'm hoping can get back on their feet here over the next couple of weeks and keep a playoff spot going for them as well and just find some success here. A big key to that success over the next couple of weeks without Tyler Lockett is going to be DK Metcalf, though. And DK Metcalf, 12.5 fantasy points. Both these receivers just slightly underperformed, it felt like, on Thursday night. Still had 9 targets, 7 catches for 55 yards. Had a big play called back to the offensive pass interference, which I thought was the right call, but a big catch to start out the game that would have been, really exciting there for that Seattle home crowd. DK Metcalf, I'm not worried. It seems like, and I don't even think I would call him touchdown dependent. I just think it was a lower week against a really good defense that he was played really well against. And yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried as far as, if you move on to the playoffs and you still have them, I'm not worried about a 12.5 point performance.
Yeah, especially knowing that Tyler Lockett is likely going to miss next week.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Metcalf is going to be the best option. However, it could go one or two ways. There's the more likely ways that Metcalf is going to have double-digit targets, and you have a good week, or the secondary of the next 3 weeks is just going to isolate DK Metcalf, and it's going to have more games or worse than this. It's likely going to be a better outcome, but I'm just throwing that out there. It's just a possibility of there's a scenario that the rest of the secondaries that he plays are just going to lock him down and put 3 people, triple coverage on him because he's scary.
He is scary. He is a scary guy, and it's definitely going to be somebody to watch. No, I wouldn't, unless I was having a scare contest.
Right. If I needed to intimidate somebody.
Yeah. In that case, I would say, DK, come over and don't bring a shirt.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's how that's going to go. One more key piece of this offense who I thought didn't actually look as good as maybe the box score is going to tell you was Kenneth Walker III. He had a pretty long run in the fourth quarter that really helped with these yards, but he has been pretty inefficient as far as running the football goes. 12 carries for 47 yards. That puts him at just under 4 yards a carry for this Thursday night football game. 11.9 fantasy points, better than what I thought he was going to do against the 49ers, who have been really, really good against the run. And I think part of that is attributed to the passing game. He had 5 targets last night, 4 catches for 32 yards. 7.2 of those 11.9 points came from the passing game. So not something we're used to seeing with Kenneth Walker, but if it's going to continue, it definitely helps his value a little bit there. This guy that I was super excited about, who was breaking off these long runs and was rushing for, 8 to 10 yards, frequently on carries, is definitely just over these past 4 weeks hasn't really panned out that way. And I don't want to take away from the 49ers run defense. They're a very good run defense, but just hasn't been exactly what first few weeks of KW3's kind of breakout that he was having. We were calling him a league winner. And right now, I don't know if I can say that's the case.
It almost feels as if the offensive line just isn't protecting the way that they were his first few games. Because, Geno got sacked a few times too. It just feels as if the line is wearing out from the season. And especially when you're going against, a defensive line that includes Nick Bosa, and it's secondary that is really good at coverage. Yeah, and then you're down for the entire game too. I understand why this happened, but I don't feel confident that we're going to see the first few games of Kenneth Walker's performance this season return for the playoff race, which is a bummer. Just feels like we'll have to wait till next season to see some of those 20+ point games.
Yeah, definitely a bummer. It almost feels like the big success and breakouts came when, he was scoring a lot of points in the fourth quarter of games early on. The Chargers game, he had a long breakoff touchdown for like 65, 70 yards in the fourth quarter there. It feels like Kenneth Walker III is not matchup dependent, but you're definitely feeling he's not you play him every week, but he's not matchup dependent, but he is a guy that you're feeling better about against a potentially a poorer opponent, so to speak. I mean, as you do with pretty much anybody, but especially with Kenneth Walker, where you see how his success kind of goes and rolls out. When the Seahawks are up in the fourth quarter, Pete Carroll's got about 3 play calls in mind, and 4 out of the 3 are to Kenneth Walker III. And and that's just kind of how it goes. And so, again, I love him, and I think he is going to be a fantastic player long-term for the Seattle Seahawks. My stock on him might be dropping a little bit. I don't know. I'm gonna have to see how he offseason goes, kind of how we're feeling after that. But 11.9 points, you could have done worse. So there you go.
That's true. You could have done worse.
All in all, I thought it was a good Thursday night football game. I was entertained for most of the game there. So definitely felt like something was going on the television versus some of these other games where I was just ready to turn it off. I was just ready to be done. At some point, we should just revisit all of these games and talk about how terrible they were. And maybe we will. Sometime we'll do that for sure.
What a horrible idea.
That's going to close us up for Thursday Night Football. Anything, Wes, anything else you want to mention?
No, honestly. I mean, I think everything kind of panned out the way that we expected, except for Brandon Ayuk. But we're just kind of going for the flow. Like, we know what these guys are going to do for playoffs for this first round. So we'll try to do the best we can in our next segment here, Studs and Duds.
Definitely. Yeah. Let's jump into Studs and Duds here, Wes. Kick us off with your round one of the playoffs. This is big time. This is a big one. Who's your stud for round one?
All right. I think my stud is going to be Keenan Allen. From the Los Angeles Chargers. All right. So first things first. Noah and I learned a lot about the Chargers when we watched them play on Sunday Night Football. The fans all around us cannot stand their offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi. They hate him with a passion. According to them, all he does is drop these screen routes and this West Coast offense that goes for like 3 or 5 yards. And that's it. Instead of trying to dial up deep shots with Justin Herbert, who has a cyborg arm, and try to make big explosive plays. And you know what? They're watching the game, and they're kind of right. They're kind of right. Noah would turn around and be like, you guys are right. Like, it actually turned to the Chargers fans and be like, you guys, you're calling the plays before they happen, and you were nailing like 9 out of 10 of these predictions. So there's that to keep in mind, okay? For any Chargers owners, for any of these players, keep that in mind. This West Coast offense, 3-5 yards, pay attention to that. But look what happened to Keenan Allen because of it. On Sunday night, he had 14 targets and 12 catches. That's 12 points just in the PPR value. And then he tacked on 92 yards through those 12 catches and walked away from the game with 21 points. And I don't think we really talked about it. So for me, that stood out. Now, I did a little research because I want to believe that Keenan Allen will walk away outscoring his 16-point performance this week. Are you ready for this? He's going up against the Tennessee Titans, okay? Their top cornerback is named Roger McCreary. You kind of suck, Roger. I did a little research. You're not a good cornerback, it turns out. So this cornerback has allowed the 10th highest completion percentage out of all the cornerbacks in the NFL. All right. He has, I lost my place. I was looking at the camera here. Okay. He has allowed the 9th most receiving yards out of all the cornerbacks in the NFL. And he has allowed himself the most touchdowns in the NFL of all cornerbacks. Now, I decided to go through all of the wide receiver ones that have gone up against the Tennessee Titans, which means that they go up against Roger McCreary, and they average 18.8 points a game when they go up against him, the Titans secondary, or Roger McCreary. Listen, just in case you think I'm trying to shoehorn some kind of cool stat, a deep cut about this one particular player, and you think, oh, that's the reason you like Keenan Allen so much, the Titans are literally the worst in fantasy against wide receivers. They have allowed the most fantasy points to wide receivers. I'll give you some details here. They have allowed the third most yards to wide receivers, the third most receptions, and the second most touchdowns of all defenses in the NFL. But the reason I'm picking Keenan Allen as my stud is because the maths tell me that cornerback Roger McCreary kind of blows, dude. So for that reason, Keenan Allen will ball out. He will outperform his 16-point projection. Mark my words.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Mark my words.
I love it, Wes. And for the listeners, usually Wes and I will go over our studs and duds together before the episode. We'll usually share who they are. This time, Wes didn't share with me. He kept it a mystery. Kept it up to mystery, and I love it. I love it for many reasons. I think, Keenan Allen's 14 targets against Miami on countless 5-yard out routes were exactly what Joe Lombardi was scheming up. And you're right, Wes. I would literally turn around to those Chargers fans behind us and go, wow, you guys are right. Joe Lombardi has a terrible playbook. Like, this is bad. This is so bad. And I think, maybe he was getting a little loose on last Sunday night against the Miami Dolphins. Because Wes, while I love your stud being Keenan Allen, wide receiver for the Los Angeles Chargers, my stud for this week is Mike Williams.
Oh, let's go, baby.
Los Angeles Chargers against the Tennessee Titans. Listen, it's been a roller coaster ride when we've had a healthy Mikey Dubs here in this offense. Sometimes, for any Disney lovers out there, anyone who's been in the Magic Kingdom, I'm going to take you on a little ride here. Sometimes it's a small world with a whole lot of nothing going on. Just a slow ride, no payoff, nothing happens. Maybe you just take it easy. Maybe sometimes it's been that with Mike Williams in this offense. Sometimes it's been Splash Mountain, with a whole lot of nothing going on. Sometimes it's a little enjoyable. And then maybe at the end there, maybe you get saved with one exciting thing to happen there. One thrill moment for your Mike Williams owners. But get ready, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready, because we're getting ready to gear up with my good friends from Aerosmith on Rock and Roller Coaster, because we're about to go on a thrill ride on Sunday with Mikey Dubs. The Titans, as you mentioned, Wes, are dookie water against the pass this year. Roger McCreary and co. Let me just say this. It's a very young secondary, very banged up secondary. They are not good against the passing game. We just saw the Jaguars light him up. Evan Ingram just absolutely ripped him apart. Zay Jones as well. Nothing against Trevor Lawrence. It's just the matter of fact that Justin Herbert is a bit of a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence. And so we just saw the Jaguars light him up in a divisional game. Justin Herbert, like I just mentioned, is just killing it with his weapons back. And Wes, we get to see in front of our own eyes. He targeted Mike Williams on a couple of deep balls there, found him in the end zone as well last Sunday night. I'm gearing up for an absolute banger of a game from Mike Williams this Sunday, absolutely obliterating a 14-point projection. There's no shot he lands at 14 points. I am thrilled and excited and ready to headbang my way on a thrill coaster with Mike Williams this Sunday against the Tennessee Titans. He's my stud for round one of the playoffs. What you think about that?
I think it's awesome because honestly, I think you told me who your stud was, but I forgot. And I went to just do my own research on just players that I felt good about. And I think it's hilarious that you and I both feel so good about this Chargers passing offense.
The matchup is too good.
It's way too good. It's so much so, honestly, I mean, chuck in Josh Palmer if you've got him too. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. We saw Josh Palmer have a couple good catches on Sunday night last week. So, I mean, look, it's the Titans defense is really good. So Austin Eckler is not necessarily involved in that. I mean, obviously he's a pass catching back, so he's probably gonna have a good game regardless. But man, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, I think they're gonna win people playoff games just from this matchup. Round one is gonna be electric. Yeah, I love it, and I love your Disney roller coaster analogies. That obviously was, that was catered to me. I appreciated that.
I'm for the people. I'm for the Disney adults. So here we are. Here we are for that. Wes, let's let people down here. Let's prepare some people for letdowns. Who is your round one of the fantasy playoffs dud this week?
Yeah. It's gonna be short and sweet, but here's the thing. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be a bit of a dud this week for a very similar reason to what I was saying about Keenan Allen. Amon-Ra St. Brown is my dud because the Lions are playing the Jets and Sauce Gardner still plays for the Jets. They didn't waive him. I checked. He's still there. He's still the second, he's still the third overall pick. Do you remember, Noah? Off the cuff.
Sauce Gardner?
Yeah.
Third overall pick.
Yeah. He is also literally the highest graded PFF cornerback in the NFL. And this is his first year. He's unbelievable. Now, last episode, we kind of half jokingly, thought about, because Sauce Gardner is so good, would we even want to start a wide receiver against him? Someone like Stephon Diggs, who's had a really bad game, because even he gets locked up. Where are we actually going to question if we're going to start? You made a good point. 10 out of 10 times you're going to start Stephon Diggs, but I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to put a spotlight on this matchup to see how good Sauce Gardner is, because Amon-Ra St. Brown has been fantastic. And I think we're going to find out who's better. Is it Amon-Ra, who's had a couple of down games this season, who has been also phenomenal in a lot of games, last year's league winner, or the new great cornerback in the NFL, who on average only lets about 13 points a game to wide receivers? Amon-Ra is projected 17 points, more than 17 points. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to get much closer to 13 points, maybe even less. So that's why I'm going to call him my dud for the week.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I was ready to, back my boy, the Sun God here, just for a little bit, because I believe we both, Wes, are big Amon-Ra St. Brown believers.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I was going to say, hey, you know what? Sauce is good, but throw some respect on my boy Amon-Ra here. And then he said 17 points. And I was like, oh, no. Like, I don't think he's going there. Like, yeah, that it's just, everything you said considered, it is, yeah, it's too, that's too good of a matchup there for, excuse me, for the, in the cornerback position with Sauce Gardner there, for that to be a thing. I don't know exactly what the coverage is going to look like. I know Amon-Ra lines up all over the field, so I'm with you there on whenever it's Sauce and Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm going to bet on Sauce Gardner there. And yeah, I think that's I think it's a bold take for a round one dud, especially given that he is our playoff savior from last year. You're calling your shot. You're saying, no, not this year. Not this year. It's not with Sauce around.
The projection for more than 17 points, I think, is just way too high, knowing that there is, if Amon-Ra is the number one option for Detroit, then Sauce is going to be trying to cover the number one option. And yeah, he does line up in different areas too. Both of them do. But Sauce.
What do you think? What's the line you're going to give? What do you think? Is it like 12 Amon-Ra 12 points?
I'll stick with the average. The average against Sauce is about 13 points.
13 around there, 12, 13. Yeah, okay. I think that's probably accurate. I think he probably lands around there. He's a volume king, so I think he probably gets there on maybe a 7 for 60 or whatever, something like that kind of game. If he ends up getting them in there for the end zone, I think he probably goes over. But
sure,
won't surprise me there if we land around that 12-13 mark. I like the call. I'm a fan. I'm excited now I'm definitely excited to watch this for sure.
It's just, let's put a spotlight on this because Sauce has been so good, especially as the season has gone on. Let's see if this is real and if we got to take note of this for the playoffs because of how good he's been. All right. With that in mind, close us out with your dud of the week, Noah. First round of playoffs.
I'm happy to. Let me paint the picture for you, Wes. Just let me. Are you ready?
I hope.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
Okay.
All right. Just hear me out.
Yep.
RB 40. RB 37. RB 39. And RB 27. Those, Wes, are the weekly fantasy finishes over the past month for one Saquon Barkley, Devin Singletary, Travis Etienne, and Dalvin Cook. 4 great running backs in the NFL. 4 highly praised running backs in the NFL, especially this season, what they've been able to do. What do all those guys have in common, though, with those finishes? Well, those were all their finishes against this born-again Lions run defense over the past month. The Lions run defense has been on fire over the last month, and I expect it to be no different this week when they take on who some people are labeling this year's playoff savior, New York Jets running back Zonovan Bam Knight. My dud for week 14, are we at 14? 15. My dud for week 15 is Zonovan Bam Knight. Here, the New York Jets running back against the Detroit Lions. He's got a 13.2 point projection. Listen, the Lions run defense has been no joke. Earlier in the year, if you would have told me I have a running back taking on the Lions, I would have said, oh, sign me up for 40 points this week. I'm booked in as a winner this week because I've got a running back facing the Lions. But over the past 4 weeks, this Lions run defense has come alive. These Lions are playing with grit under Dan Campbell. They've come alive for this team, and they are stopping these top-tier running backs from playing well. Saquon Barkley, RB 40. Dalvin Cook last week with 6 teams on a bye week was RB 27, and he scored a touchdown in that game. My goodness, 13.2 points is far too high for one Zonovan Bam Knight this weekend. I think the Jets are going to need to score to stay in this game. This Lions offense is humming, and I don't think Zonovan Knight is going to be a cornerstone piece for them on offense. I think he's a dud. I think Zonovan Knight is going to potentially knock some people out of the playoffs this week, and not in a good way. I don't think he's going to put up a performance that knocks out your opponent. I'm worried that if you have him in your lineup, he is going to dud so hard that he is going to lose you your week. I'm calling my shot here. Zonovan Knight is a single-digit fantasy scorer this week in round 1 of the playoffs Mark my words.
Oh, man. Dude, we didn't even plan to say mark my words. We didn't tell each other. We just feel it. It's round one of the playoffs, baby. We're ready to roll. Dude, that was awesome.
Thanks, dude.
Especially that Dalvin Cook stat. That one made me do the confused blinking meme. I was like, you kidding me? With 6 teams on a bye, and he scored a touchdown, RB27? How does it even happen?
Right.
That is very great job. Well done with the research. And I think that probably clears up some of the people that are trying to take a stab at an unexpected play, maybe in the flex position. And Zonovan Knight has been pretty good. Maybe he's going to do something. I think you just cleared it up. No, because the Lions defense has actually been fantastic. I also think it's fun that our studs are on the same team and our duds are going against each other.
Yeah, it'll be a fun time. I'm excited about it.
This is going to be great.
It was a synced up studs and duds unintentionally, but it was definitely fun. And yeah, I think, oh man, I know there's a guy in our league. I think Wes, your opponent in our league this week is playing as Zonovan Knight slotted in right now. And man, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be the right move for him. Maybe he listens to me. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he slots him out there. I know he's got Leonard Fournette on that bench. So we'll have to go ahead and see. But yeah, it's going to be a fun show on Tuesday. I'm excited for it for sure. That is going to be all the time that we have though for this episode. Wherever you're listening, we'd appreciate it if you give the episode 5 stars and write something funny in the review so we can give you a shout out next time. We're on social media everywhere under we're on social media everywhere at 4th and Troll, and on Facebook at 4th and Troll Fantasy. Look for our mascot Teddy the Troll and make him smile by giving us a follow, like, comment, message, whatever you want to do, and joining us next time every Tuesday and Friday. Signing off for what is our 30th episode of 4th and Troll Fantasy. Thank you guys so much for just tuning in every week and just being a part of this. This is so cool, and we're so grateful. So for all that being said, my name is Noah Selby.
I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been 4th and Troll Fantasy.